Bonjour from Australia.
Wow.
Hello? Yeah.
Hello, Aussie We send lots of CDs over there. I was excited to ship out 10 today, one of them to Netherlands. So I'll
Oh,
try as hard
awesome.
as I can to get them out within a day or two. So how are things at FLFE headquarters in Nelson, British Columbia?
They are smooth. Things are going well. Having lots of beautiful conversations with lots of interesting people all the time. And yeah, just integrating people into the service. And well, it's like, how deep do you want to go? I
Right. How
guess,
far
right?
down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Stegman and I are holding down the U.S. hub of Focus Life Force Energy. This is where a lot of the behind the scenes work happens, the discoveries happen, and I'm just the lucky one that got to commingle my musical adventures with the Focus Life Force Energy Field. And that's why we're here today, just to give you a little behind the scenes idea of like how this all came about, where it started. So thanks so much for joining us from all around, and it's meant an incredible amount to me to share this intentional sound across the globe. Just so honored everyone who's downloading and bringing the music into their homes, into their lives. It started with a very strong intent in 2020. The first album, Piano Improvisation's Journey to the Heart, was put out in December 2020. It was a time when many of us were shut in, we were isolated, and there was, most of my outlets were shut down, except for my music ministry at Center for Spiritual Living. And so I just had the idea I would have a strong intent for whatever healing, whatever highest love to flow through me, through the sounds for all beings. And it was spoken into the room, and I was in a zone that was 850, and the rest is history. That night, the first album was born, and so I started playing classical music around 9, and I was very fortunate to study with, to get right onto an amazing lineage of classical musicians. My teacher's teacher, his teacher's teacher was Beethoven. So the line of
Wow.
the sharing of German music, especially that tradition, but there was no thought of improvisation whatsoever on the horizon until I was studying abroad in France at 21. I turned 21 in Cannes in the south of France, and I was there to discover myself outside of being a pianist, a classical pianist. And I brought 2 scores with me, 2 music books, one Mozart and one Schubert, what I considered I couldn't live without.
Yeah.
But there was a beat-up bar piano in the salon there where people would hang out after class, and I would start playing, and it was amazing. They would just turn the techno off immediately as soon as they heard anything coming from the piano. But I had a dear friend there, and it was his birthday. He was from Japan,
Yeah.
and I wanted to offer him something for his birthday. So I just wrote a little sketch of him on the piano, and this started just being I kind of ran out of things to practice. We didn't have, scanners and all kinds of tablets and iPads then, and there was no way to get a hold of music. So I wrote a little melody for him, and I still remember it. And after I got back, I told my conservatory professor that I had started just experimenting with melodies and harmonies and things, and he said, "Oh my God, that's so great, because when you play other people's music, you're working with your own language, so you have something from where to come to receive their music." So I started to assemble some small compositions, and then truly the reason I started making up music, or as I tell my piano students, noodling, or was to try to sketch, try to find compositional ideas. I didn't see myself as a composer, and so a dear friend of mine actually put a reel-to-reel under my piano recorder and said, just go. And well, 15 years into that, I had found actually quite a nice little set of pieces that worked well as a piano meditation kind of a journey kind of thing. Yeah. So there is one like prequel CD that it's like a journal entry of 15 years of my life. But it wasn't until, I guess the next direct source of this offering was as music minister for Center for Spiritual Living. Every week I was asked to noodle behind the guided meditation of the minister after his talk.
Okay.
And so there I was on the computer, on the keyboard, and it was like a dare. I dared myself, how few notes can I play? How deeply can I listen in between each note and wait for which note needs to come next, whether it's just one note to another melody note and then C, and some basic sense of how chords are put together and what chords might harmonize. Of course, I didn't want to do anything that would startle people out of their meditation experience, but I did that every week for 8 years, and it was deeply peaceful and beautiful to just leave behind any context, any musical expectation. And that was a good priming for me.
Yeah.
I never imagined that I could actually, literally, when I had my engineer here and at my piano, this piano I've had since I was 11, it never occurred to me that we would have enough to share as an album. It was just an experiment, really.
Yeah.
And so
now there's 2
volumes. 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the first track was, I think, 10 and a half, or around 10 minutes. I can't recall now. And when that was done, I remember Max Raphael, my wonderful engineer, turning around with his headphones, and something had struck him because he was in tears at that point. And so very little was said, and I thought, okay, well, something's happening here. And so we continued that way over the next, hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, and the first CD was almost sequential to how it happened and without any restarts or re-edits.
Amazing.
And then 4 years later, it was almost like, I had to internally go to college or something. And after 4 years of gestation, I really just wanted to offer the listeners something else. I wanted to give them something, a second soundscape that they could live with. I was so touched how many people wanted to have the music and live with it. So then came the second, and it was a little bit more of a messy birth, as I like to say, trying to not, of course, reproduce anything that had already been done, but also stay open without any expectation. It's a little bit challenging to do that. But it did, and we had like sawing going across the backyard and school buses coming by. There's something about recording on your home instrument. It's a little bit of a gamble because it's not a soundproof kind of space. But
right.
In 2 or 3 days, we got it done.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that quick.
Well, the first day we spent about 4 or 5 hours just setting up mics and testing what was going to give us the truest sound. I want people to feel like they're almost in the piano, or at least the purest kind of enveloping sonority possible from this instrument.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Are you able to share with us a little bit? Um, well, actually, I have a few questions. You used the word sketch a few times, and I'm curious if that's like a classical term in music, or is that a descriptive term you like to use?
I think it's a, a casual way of saying I don't know how to make a composition, so I'm just going to call it a sketch, basically. I mean, to be honest, or it indicates for me something that's a bit short.
Okay.
In 1994, and another little melody that came out was, and I went to watch Braveheart, and
Okay.
right in the middle of the movie, there's this. Same exact theme, the same exact harmonies. And that was really revealing for me because it really made the muse idea make sense. Like, here's this melody and it's just floating around, and that composer grabbed it and I grabbed it. I hadn't seen the film, so it wasn't something that, but I think creativity is that way. It's like if you have the idea of a book, or if you have, a line of text comes, it's going to come to you or it's going to come to somebody else, but we can just, we can pick it up and filter it through what we do. So I felt very like special and not special at that moment because I was like, I remember seeing the theater like, what? Like, what?
That's so
So
cool.
you can't own you can't own the stuff. And I feel exactly that way about the improvisations too. Once they were captured, they're not mine anymore. They're there to be a reflection of whoever is listening to them at whatever state they're in, wherever they are. And they're dynamic. I think it's the beauty of there would be no musicians if there wasn't the landscape for it to fall into and be received. So
Totally.
it is definitely a circuit, and yeah, so happy to offer that. And I'm happy to answer. Why don't we take a few questions? How do you feel about that? Does
Yeah,
anybody have any
that
questions
would be great.
in the chat? Danica is looking for your questions. And
I'll ask some in the meantime while they come
okay,
through.
great.
I'm curious how, I know at some point you and I talked a little bit about how Volume 1 and Volume 2 were different. And you described Volume 2 as feeling more like earthy, I believe, or something of that nature. And correct me if I'm wrong. Um, so how would you describe the feeling of Volume 1 for you?
Mm. Well, I love that question, and I want to. It makes me think of something else I wanted to share, and then I will try. That will help me answer that question. So, the at the time of Volume 1, so none of the titles were planned. There was no plan of any kind, either of the content or anything like that, other than the overarching intention for upliftment of love, whatever was needed for all beings and anyone who would hear the music. So it was kind of like the title for track 1 on that. It was a beacon. It was like, my heart is open. I just want to be a vehicle. And so it has, I don't know, it has like, I really think that's for other people to decide what it feels like to them. But it feels kind of crystalline, kind of, I was having lots of water images, like in some of them, water and light, and I definitely kind of had a wish, like there were some images that I had in mind as I started. Like the first one was very watery, the first track, and it was very still. And I thought, okay, well, maybe the second one could have a little bit more movement. And I thought, well, what could inspire that? So I was thinking of the elementals and fairies and stuff like that. So I just kind of had a conversation with them and the keyboard. And then there are other ones like the ancients, you know, where and there was a bit of that in the CD2 where I was envisioning the old growth trees. Forget which track that was. So the intention, when it came around to 2024, what I knew was, okay, this is a very different time. It feels like there's a lot of transmutation going on.
Yeah.
And it's not about when is the change going to hit us or what's happening or help us out or, you know, it was, we're all in the cooker. So the second one, when I kind of asked all that is, you know, like, what do you want to say? What, or, you know, spirit or however you want to say, what wants to come through this album? And it kept feeling like transmutation, support for transformation. But what I heard as I asked again, right at the edge of the piano, what I heard was to die to everything that's not real. I was like, okay. I'm not sure exactly how to play that, but it's kind of like the serpent, you know, that's just shedding its skin, or the Ouroboros, that cycle of, and that there was an intelligence to that, and that we were ready to shed. Excuse me while I sneeze. Bless you.
Bless
me.
you.
Everybody. Everybody. Okay. So yeah, I was very much just like the first one, in a very kind of unknown. It's like spelunking. I mean, I just don't know. The only difference was I felt more honestly pressured that I wanted to offer something again. I wanted to come up with something. First one, I didn't know what would happen. Second one, I wanted it to be something I could offer, and I only had a certain amount of time with my engineer. So, but your question, can you repeat your question again? How does it feel?
I was curious,
different?
just how they were different and how they felt for you. And it's true in comparison to when I'm listening to the tracks. It's like there is quite a difference in the feeling, and I really like that of Volume 2. Like some of the songs, it it feels like I am like walking on dirt, or like transporting me to places that would offer me that grounding, and like even being brought back up, like brought down into the earth and like pushed up again anew. And it feels so in alignment with all of these changes that are happening so quickly in all of our lives. It's so visible right now. And I love the support, like as FLFE, which we'll talk about a little bit more, the infusion into the music. I have someone who has a question in the chat about that, actually, so that'll be a fun one for you to answer. I feel as if FLFE as a standalone is such a support, but your music is such a, like, it's beyond complimentary to that, like, facilitation of my personal evolution. And it's just so beautiful being, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but I'm a very sensory sensitive person. And just to have access to music that can bring me down like that is just such a blessing. So thank you. And thank you for, you're just on the current, and you can really feel it. And the more you talked about the like contrast of when they came out too, and I was thinking back and feeling back, I'm like, it's just so in alignment with the time.
The first one,
frame.
you are light, you are the love, you are
Yeah.
And the second one is just, it, like, you're the universe, like birthing everything,
Yeah.
It's like, so it's not about when is awakening happening. It's like you are the awakening walking
Yeah.
around. And
Yeah.
this is for you, just like to put you in a little blanket of earthiness while you do that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
and it's just a different necessity, but I feel like I'm just allowing for, I don't think emotionally so much when I start. I just am really, really, really present
Yeah.
to what is it's like I become one with like if I could disappear into the landscape, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going
Yeah.
to bring forth whatever wants to come. So
Yeah.
I see, I can answer a question about, so even though I was in an 850 kind of little zone for the recording, that was to support me to connect. And then, like, for instance, after both recordings, I had Clayton Stedman, the co-founder of FLFE, test the average level of consciousness on just the physical music tracks themselves. And after the first CD, they averaged at 600 just without any FLFE wave attached to them. So he describes that as peace, bliss, illumination, or the beginnings of enlightenment. So I thought, okay, well, this is like if you have if healers are doing Reiki or channelings or things like that, they're gonna get into that level of consciousness for that time, or they're gonna be able to transmit that. I prefer the word transmit a lot more to describe what I do than channeling, because when I think of channeling, I think more of a being or an
Right.
entity that's communicating, and that's really, it's arguable. Like some people want to call my pieces compositions, they want to call them channelings, and I think if channeling in a general sense just means opening yourself up to your higher self, sure. But I like
Yeah.
what I was inspired by in my youth, being around other pianists in college, was transmission. Like there was a
Yeah.
pianist from France that I'll never forget. She would practice Brahms, and it was like her sound was light. It was, I would just weep. I would just weep when she would play, and I just didn't understand how this was possible. It
Yeah.
wasn't just the piece, it was like what she was able to do with it. And as she told me, I used to pedestal her because she was a medium, and she said, if you
Oh.
can feel these things, it's because you can do them.
Yeah.
If you see the light in me, it's because it's in you. And so that unconditional love piece, she exposed me to Keith Jarrett, the Köln concerts, and that was a big inspiration too. So the music stands on its own as a nice experience at a 600 level if you're listening to it, and if you're an FLFE subscriber, you're already in the service, you're
Yeah.
already bathing in a nice high field. But if you're somewhere in that doesn't have that level of consciousness in your environment, it could quite diminish your experience of the music. So the idea was, by
Okay.
attaching a 600 level of consciousness field to the sound files, to the physical sound files, however they were heard, whether they're Shazammed or whatever, it would offer the experience of that 600 field. And when we're talking about that, we're not talking about the full service with EMF and grounding and all those things. It's just the experience of being in a place that has a 600 level of consciousness. So I hope that answers a question, because some people wonder if it's actually 850 or like what it is. So it's basically it's a 600 musical experience that's wrapped in a nice envelope of 600 environment. And so, you know, as you're listening to that, and for people who are subscribers, it's similar to experiencing a boost, because
Yeah.
that's what a boost does. It doesn't give a 600 like full spectrum service. It just gives a 600 environment.
Yeah. I think for those that ask questions in relation to that, in my opinion, it answered them. But if you felt like you wanted something more elaborate or in depth, could you communicate that in the comments? We had a couple questions that were kind of in line, and you.
Does this vibration of this music penetrate your cells? I feel like, well, I feel like all music penetrates our cells.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like we know our body is composed so much of water, like the Misaru Emoto frozen ice. Definitely our water is influenced by words, by language, by music. So yeah, I think we could say yes to that.
Yeah. Well, and plants too, right? There's been studies with different types of music and how the plants are physically growing. So I would totally agree with that. I feel it penetrates my cells. If you have any more questions for Audrey, feel free to put them in the chat if I'm missing any.
If I play either CD several times, will I receive LFC of 600 continuously throughout? Yes. Yes, you will. I believe that's Dawn's question. Thank you for that. Creating the FLFE level. This is a question from Jeff. You mentioned in your intro video, and you used your recording, you mentioned either 600 or 800. So I think we answered that.
Yeah.
The 600 level was just was the result of, I believe, the high intent and the level of surrender and allowing the sound to organize itself based on my experiences. I describe it sometimes like a weather pattern, you know, like I'll start with a note or two, and then it'll kind of invite other sounds to play with it, you know, based on obviously combinations that I've grown to love are definitely in the wings all the time. But I wanted to play my original piece because it shows the inception of this kind of free form music that doesn't have a beat. It doesn't really have a meter as a musical sense. But in the improvisations, I do try to grab rhythmic cycles or patterns that a melody can float on top of, because of what that can do as well. It's nice to have the open space, and it's nice to also have like the consistency of a beat that's doing something.
Yeah. And we have another question. Do you think that tonal frequencies conjure images, and what are these frequencies for water and light?
Can you read that one more time?
Yep. Oh, let's see. Do you think that tonal frequencies conjure images, and what are these frequencies for water and light? So,
I think that's very personal.
yeah.
You know, there are people that have synesthesia that see color when they hear certain sounds, and I'm not the deepest scientist in terms of like the different frequencies and hertz. And someone was just explaining to me like the 432 hertz, how it has overtone cycles of 3, and so it has a really different purity to it, and that when things change to 440, like my piano's tuned to 440, my harmonium is tuned to 440 because I collaborate with other instruments as well. And yeah, it does have a different effect on the body. I have a new keyboard that actually can tune to 432 when I press a button. So I'm going to be exploring that. But in terms of recording, I'm just a sucker for this Steinway that was at the Kennedy Center, and it's an artist Steinway, 1978, and it's just the depth of tone that it has, I can't interact with if I'm recording on a keyboard.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to learn about cymatics and the different frequencies and things like that. So I can't really answer with light and water.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Should we get to the draw? So there were some people that entered.
Oh, sure.
Can I do it? I did it. So for all of you that entered our little draw yesterday to win a download, and by the way, you get to choose volume 1 or volume 2. I've put all your names in a bowl. So we're doing it the original way. And I'm just going to pull 3 of you and announce the winners. And then I'll message you from our Focus Life Force Energy Instagram page, and we'll take your email and pass that off to Audrey, and then you can make your request of which volume you would like. So I'm going to shake it up. And so we have Cassia Alexander as our first winner.
Yay, Cassia.
Also, we were curious of everyone that's attended today, if you're a subscriber, if you're on our free trial, or if this is all new to you, if you want to put in the chat what your familiarity is with FLFE or with the FLFE infused music. We are really curious to know who's attending this. So,
yeah,
and thank you for attending.
1 for subscriber, 2 for free trial, and 3 for I have no idea what this is, but it looked interesting. So yeah, if you're a subscriber and have the music, type. Well, that would be 4. If you're already enjoying the music, please type 4. 1 would be subscriber, 2 free trial.
Okay.
Welcome.
Great. Welcome. So nice to see you. Okay, so number 2 out of our 3-person potential winners. Okay, so CEO from the Heart, I will be messaging you as well, which is a great Instagram handle. I love that. That's kind of aligned with what we believe, I think, in our business values. So very cool. And Mona Bat. So I'll be messaging you as well. And then I'll connect you guys with Audrey, and we'll take it from there. So if anyone else has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll hang out a little bit longer. I was curious, actually. So you talked about working with the minister, your story about how that contributed to your improvisations, and how, so when we talk about consciousness fields and energy, it's something that we definitely can feel in our bodies very obviously for some of us. And I'm curious if, looking back, did you feel something there in comparison to working in the fields, like in the, I should say, FLFE field, excuse me. And if so, like how it differs.
Mm. Well, in that kind of collaborative experience, I was tuning into his words and the energy of what he was saying and trying to support that in what I was doing. So it was very much, I kind of had a guide for where to take. Uh, and so, and that center had focused life force energy on it too. So that was helpful.
Oh,
I was in the field
nice.
there. But so with the just me, it's a lot more naked in a sense. There's the intention for being a vessel, and of course you want some beauty to happen. You want something that somehow has a nice resonance to it. But I was talking to a dear musician friend today about going into this experience of it's a lot of listening and waiting and just being really honest about what note could just marry the one right before it. And so what happens between 2 or 3 notes then affects where my attention will go to the next thing. Do I want to bring then like a deep chord to that, or is there, so it's just like, it's just a really deep quiet, and it's very nourishing. As I talk about it, I can feel in my life, I think I try to control things, and I'm pretty type A. I mean, I'm a mild-mannered type A, but I'm very mentally oriented, and I like things to be, to go a certain way. But this is like a reverse. I get to be reverse Audrey. I get to be the Audrey that knows nothing, has nothing, needs nothing, feels nothing, is nothing. Is just in the expanse.
Yeah.
And that feels so true to me, and so non-performing. It's like deconstructing performing. That's why I feel comfortable calling it improvisation, because I'm just riding on the wings, so to speak,
Yeah.
of what envelops me in that moment.
Beautiful. Thank you
In
for
order
sharing.
for something to kind of transpire, I have to like completely let it go.
Yeah.
And so that's,
Yeah.
what I don't have as easy a time doing in life. I'm so grateful that the field supports me in doing that, because I feel like I come home to a piece of myself.
Yeah.
It's kind of eternal. And so I never realized this side intention, but I hope that when people listen, they can feel some eternal part of themselves.
That's, wow. That is so beautifully said, and I so felt that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sure.
And it's been so lovely chatting with you. I think we'll wrap it up because I know you're on Eastern Standard Time and I'm on Pacific Standard Time.
It's
So
still
I
daylight. This is
still,
daylight out here.
yeah, I guess you do
Yeah.
have nice lighting in there.
Yep. This is our
Look at,
woods, and our woods are
oh, wow.
very important because we recorded the crickets out here in
Right.
September for volume 2. Of course, you can't hear anything but mowers and blowers now, but Max took some of those we call them ear mics because they look like they have rubber ears hanging
Yeah.
out of them, and captured some cricket sounds that come into the final track of the second album, which is called Home. And
Beautiful.
the other difference about volume 2 was having this painting as part of the experience by Leslie Montana. It's called The Peace Rose Transition into Light, and it's a watercolor that's absolutely fantastic. And I feel like it communicates what I was feeling about I didn't even know that was the title of the painting, but we were so moved by it, and I told her that I would let it go into my cells, so to speak, as I was playing, because I wanted the energy of that. I wanted to have a co-collaboration. So stay tuned for some conversations with Leslie Montana and I, and how we can join art mediums to
Yeah,
make change in the world.
that's awesome. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that part. And when you first brought the albums in, I remember looking at it and I just saw so many things in it, but actually the first thing I saw was I thought there was a praying mantis in there. Yeah, just such an exceptionally beautiful piece. So for those of you who do physically have the CD, I highly recommend just staring at it for a while and seeing what you see in it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And yes, that's right, with the crickets. I remember you telling me about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that your first time working with that type of microphone?
It was. He came with all kinds of toys when he came back for volume 2.
Cool.
We had some nice studio monitors to do. We did all the mixing and mastering together too, which we didn't have for the first album. So the goal was to capture more of the lush bass that's available with this piano, and maybe a little less pedal noise and things like that. So that was very gratifying to be able to do both the recording couple days with him and also the mastering and mixing of the sound quality with him.
Yeah. Very cool. Oh, there's another question here. A techie question. Was the piano
Yay, I love those.
recorded lid full stick? Right?
Oh,
Lid full stick?
Oh yes. Yeah, we actually, I think we're going to share some photos of the sound setup, but we had, I believe, 2 condenser mics. Kind of, we wanted the most natural acoustic kind of room, a mix of room sound. So there's nothing like right on the strings. It's I can see the positioning, but yeah, there were two mics, 2 dynamic or 2 condensers that were pointed in, and then one a little further out in the room.
Good question.
Yeah, pretty simple setup.
Okay. Thank you for sharing and reminding me about the painting. Don't know how I could forget about that. It's so beautiful on the CD. And that's the other really cool thing that you do is you make CDs still.
Yeah. And as I said in the interview with Jeffrey Clayton, I will always make CDs because I really love the sound quality that is not compressed and not digital. Well, it is, in a sense, it is digital, but it's not as compressed as MP3s are. But we do offer the highest quality MP3 for your download. Yeah. If you have any technical questions, I handle all of those myself, and my email for that is info@audreycausilla.com. And I believe that Danica is sharing a link tree that has a link to the page that describes the music, and probably can reach a contact form there too. But info@audreycausilla, AudreyCausilla.com. And I try to answer everybody within 24 hours. Some people download the MP3 files, and because it has to be sent in a zip file, the way it opens on your device is something I have no control over. So depending on whether you have an iPhone or an Android, you might need a zip converter. I know it's kind of putsy, but some if you want the tracks to play as an album, sometimes it just takes a little bit of tinkering, or it needs to be put in some kind of player. So the files can be put into like Amazon Music or your iTunes or something like that for it to play as a whole album. And usually, if anyone has any issues, I send them a Bandcamp coupon code where they can just, that will always open as an album. But I'm happy to help anyone with their tech issues the best I can.
Yeah.
Don't be stuck with just tracks that play one at a time. If we can help you have it play as an album, because that gives a whole experience too of hearing them in sequence, almost as like a sound healing session.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's important. We actually had that question today from someone else, and it looks like that was really helpful to Lola. So thanks for sharing that, Audrey. Yeah, and as far as Audrey's music goes, we do have a link in our link tree in the bio. I will make sure that I also post it in the replay of this, so you can find it more easily, hopefully. And you can also buy her CDs if you want to be retro.
Yeah.
We were just talking about it earlier. It's like, I'm 31 now, and the kids younger than me are seeing CDs as retro, but I mean, ultimately, yeah, it does, that's going to be the best way to capture the sound. Would you do vinyl? Have you done any vinyl?
I have not. It's not out of the question, but yeah. Don't know about that. Those are definitely coming back. Turntables are coming back.
Totally. Yeah.
I'd be really curious how it sounds on vinyl.
Yeah. That would be a really cool experience, and to just compare.
So I would love to know of who's here again. We're so grateful you're with us, and we hope this has been maybe an eye-in. We might do this again, and for me, it's like so amazing to have any kind of input from any of you. So thank you for commenting and sharing. And I'd be curious if anybody's really new to FLFE and wants to know about that and what it is and what the experience is like in the free trial. Can you type 5 if you're new to Focused Life Force Energy?
Yeah.
Are you seeing any numbers, Danica?
Nope.
Okay. Well, yeah, we highly recommend the free trial. Am I correct that it's concurrent now on the phone and your home property?
Yeah.
Free
So,
trial?
yeah. So we call it an immersive experience. So when you sign up, you will have the service for the property and the mobile at the same time, which is really cool, especially for those that want to be their own consciousness researchers. We have all sorts of tools in the portal that you can experience and experiment with, and we're here to guide you. So I'm a care specialist at FLFE, so if you are on the trial now and you have any questions or you've been thinking about signing up for the trial, I'm here out of so many amazing people to serve you and help you. So if you need help navigating the trial, please feel free to go to our website and email us. You can ask for me personally if you would like to connect. Otherwise, everyone here is just so adept and open and interesting, and we have so many wonderful people to support you in your FLFE journey and experience. I steered away from your question, but yes, you do get to experience the property and the mobile at the same time. So that's really cool. That's been a really cool upgrade. And yeah, people's feedback on it is really amazing. So if anyone's thought about doing the trial and are still thinking about doing the trial, I'd highly recommend it. And then we can chat.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, Danica. And the music's just one other way to take the music, to take the field with you. Like a lot of people still have CD players in their car. And so that's a
Yeah,
lovely way to be
true.
out in nature. Like if you're, it seems to harmonize really well with beautiful landscapes like in Nelson. Gosh, it's such a gorgeous place. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's one more way to be in the field. And as always, I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your questions. Anyone experimented with the boost and the music at the same time? That's a good question.
It's a really good question.
Yeah, I love how it's just you get to participate and just play it your way, literally. This both focus, life force, energy, and the music. Just yeah. Do you have another question?
Lola was just saying that they do their boost every morning while listening to the music, and it's amazing. So
Yay.
that's awesome. Definitely something I have to try now.
I've gotten to see beautiful videos of Lola, the Frenchie, listening to the music. It's very, very sweet.
I'll have to check that. Or is that available for everyone
No,
to see?
no, she
You
doesn't
just
know. It's just for me.
just for
I'm
you.
just the lucky one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who doesn't need a Frenchie relaxing to music, having snores?
Yeah,
Nothing better.
that's awesome.
And during the road trip, yes, I want to hear about that.
Aw, that's awesome. That's so cool to know. Thanks for sharing. I was going to say as well, with our super comprehensive customer portal, we do have an interview with Audrey and the co-founders, Jeffrey and Clayton, that you can watch too while you're on your trial or as a subscriber. There will be a replay of this. This was supposed to be a little bit more casual and getting to know Audrey a little bit more, and it's been a really nice time. Um, we'll take any last questions if you have any, and then kind of wind down a little bit.
Mhm. Since we promised, I could stay in the mid-range and just do like 30 seconds of a little thing. Do we have time? Do we have time?
Yep.
Oh no, it's after 8.
Oh my gosh,
But
is it already?
yeah.
I thought we were here for like 5 minutes. I guess that's what
Yeah.
happens when you're in the field. I'm like, where did my day go? Yeah, if you want to play a little ditty.
Yeah. Just again, sorry for the sound. But I'll just, just dial in like where we are right now and like bring some of that intention in.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just a little more so to say goodnight and wish you well. Thank you, Danica.
Thank
Thanks for spending time. Thanks
you.
to everybody who came on.
Yeah, this has been really nice, and we'll definitely do this again in the future. And um, yeah, just continue to learn more. And I feel so elated right now. Thank you for that. It's beautiful. Okay,
Till the next
well,
time. Thanks
blessings
for being
and
here. Blessings
good
to everyone.
evening to everyone. It's, I think, evening everywhere for anyone who's attending, probably for the most part. Um, yeah, we'll talk to you again soon, Audrey. And thank you for the great questions. There were some really great questions today. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.